Chapter 54, Thief. Li Chengxuan was angered by Li Chenmo's words and shouted, "Li Chenmo, watch your words." "Enough!" Lu Jiyu was startled by Father Li's sudden shout, and took half a step back. Li Chenmo quickly held her hand and patted her on the back. Father Li saw it and felt bad for scaring her, but didn't say anything. He looked at Li Chengxuan and said, "Do you think I'm dead? You started making trouble as soon as you came back. If you can't discipline your wife, do you still need me to discipline her for you?" "But father, this is not Siyu's fault alone," Li Chengxuan said. If she hadn't provoked Xiaoyu, would third son have said these words? Father Li asked him back. Hearing Father Li's words, Li Chengxuan and Zhao Siyu didn't dare to say anything more. Lu Jiyu was uncomfortable with the situation and said, "Uncle Li, don't be angry, it will hurt your body, I'm okay." "Vixen," Zhao Siyu said in a low voice. "You still dare to say another word," Father Li shouted while he glared at her. "Uncle Li, I should go back. There are some noodles and bone soup in the kitchen. It can be warmed up for dinner. There is also a plate of steamed cakes, which can be used as tomorrow's breakfast." Hearing her words, Li Chengxuan and his wife stretched their necks, as if they could see the things in the kitchen from the living room. Seeing their absurd actions, Lu Jiyu was speechless and couldn't help but shake her head in her heart. "Brother Chenmo, I'll come to see you tomorrow, I'm leaving." She looked at the unhappy Li Chenmo and said with a smile. "Ends," he nodded reluctantly. "Good night, Uncle Li." "Go slowly," Father Li reminded her. As soon as Lu Jiyu left, Zhao Siyu complained, "What an impolite girl." Hearing Zhao Siyu's words, Father Li looked at her and asked, "What, you bullied her and still want her to give you a good attitude? Do you think your face is plaster with gold?" After leaving this sentence, Father Li snorted and went to the kitchen. He only ate a coarse grain pancake in the morning, and he was very hungry. When Li Chenmo saw his father go to get his meal, he returned to his room without even looking at his second brother. "What is he proud of? He is no longer a soldier, but a lame man. How dare he treat us like this?" Zhao Siyu said angrily. "All right, wife, you shouldn't be angry so as not to damage your health," Li Chengxuan coaxed her. "If it wasn't for your father's promise, I wouldn't be willing to come to this dirty place," she added. Okay, let's go. It's been a while since we last came back. We need to clean up our house." "If you want to clean up the house, you can do it yourself." "Okay, I'll do it by myself." Father Li stood on the balcony, looked at his second son, and sighed. Among his three sons, the second son has a very different personality from his brothers. He is not only cunning and greedy, but also ambitious with no ability nor courage. In the end, in order to live a comfortable life, he decided to marry such a woman as his wife just because she has more dowry compared to other girls. As a father, it would be a lie to say that he is not disappointed in his second son. But no matter how much he taught him or tried to change his mindset, his second son never listened to him or his wife since young. In the end, he can only let him do whatever he wants. Even when Li Chengxuan insisted on moving to the town and rarely came back, Father Li could only close his eyes and let him be. His heart does not grieve what the eyes cannot see. When Lu Jiyu came back, her family had already finished dinner, so she went to the kitchen to put away the pots and baskets. When she went to the kitchen, she saw someone in the chicken coop. She walked over curiously and saw Xiaoyu chase away the old hen. Seeing her actions, Lu Jiyu immediately understood what was going on. Her face darkened and she asked coldly, "Miss Xiaoyu, what are you doing here at this time?" Xiaoyu was startled by her voice, and the egg in her hand dropped to the ground. When she turned around, she glared at Lu Jiyu and asked, "Can you make a sound when you walk? Are you trying to scare me to death on purpose?" Lu Jiyu marveled at how thick-skinned the heroine was. Pointing to the egg in Xiaoyu's hand, she asked, "So you can run away after stealing my family's egg?" Hearing her words, Xiaoyu was frightened. She almost forgot that in this day and age, the punishment for stealing is imprisonment or even death. She quickly put down the eggs and said, "Be careful with what you say. Which eye of yours saw me stealing your eggs?" "It's obviously both of my eyes," Lu Jiyu said coldly. "Do you have evidence? If you talk nonsense again, I will report you to the authorities for defamation." Facing Lu Jiyu's calmness, Xiaoyu began to panic. "Then report it. I will also report you for stealing. I don't need evidence. You are here at this time, and those eggs are the best proof." Lu Jiyu sneered, pointing to the broken eggs on the ground and the egg yolk splashed on Xiaoyu's pants. "You are talking nonsense," Xiaoyu shouted defensively. Because her voice was too loud, people from the Lu family and Pan Magia came out to check the situation. When they saw Zyro Yiking, who was covered in mud in the chicken coop, their expressions suddenly changed. While the members of the Lu family were angry, Pan Major was calm. When Zyro Yiking said those words to her yesterday, her heart already turned cold. Seeing Zyro Yiking's current situation, Pan Major didn't feel anything strange at all. Pan Major observed Zyro Yiking for a whole day, and found many things that proved that she was not the Zyro Yiking she used to be. The most obvious evidence is her handwriting, and the fact that she is right-handed. Zyro Yiking, who she knows, used to be left-handed, and it is impossible for someone to change her habit in just 3 months. Although Pan Major was sure that this person was not her friend, she couldn't understand why this fake Zyro Yiking looked exactly like her friend. Not only is the voice the same, but even the birthmark and burn scar on the arm are exactly the same. "What's going on?" Mother Lu asked with a frown. "Mother, I caught her red-handed stealing the eggs," Lu Jiu said as she pointed at the eggs. Seeing the broken eggs on the ground, Mother Lu's eyes sank. She looked at Zyro Yiking and asked, "Miss Zyro, do you have anything to say?" Zyro Yiking looked at their eyes full of accusations and anger, and fear suddenly surged in her heart. "I didn't steal it, it was Lu Jiu who framed me," she shouted with her eyes wide open. "Second son, go invite team leader Han," Father Lu said suddenly. Hearing that they wanted to notify the team leader, Zyro Yiking panicked and shouted, "No, if you tell the team leader, I will go to jail." As soon as she said this, she regretted it, but she couldn't take it back because everyone heard it clearly. In the end, she could only grit her teeth and say, "I will pay for the broken eggs, just tell me the price." "It's not about the egg or money, but about your conduct. Even if you pay for the eggs, we won't let a thief stay in our house." Seeing Zyro Yiking's arrogant attitude, Father Lu frowned and said coldly. "Second son, go invite team leader Han," Father Lu said again. "Don't push your luck while I'm being nice. Do you know who my father and elder brother are?" Zyro Yiking stared at Father Lu and said through gritted teeth. "I don't care who your father and brother are. This is my Lu family's house. As the head of the family, I can ask whoever I want to leave my house," Father Lu said. "You better not regret it," Zyro Yiking said with red eyes. This was the first time in her life that she was humiliated like this. What's more, it was these peasants who humiliated her. She will make them pay 100-fold for what they did today. Not long after, Lu Cheng brought Han Yuheng back. Once in the backyard, Han Yuheng immediately understood the situation. His face darkened as his heart sank. This girl was entrusted to him by his superiors. Although he was dissatisfied with her, there was nothing he could do. After all, her father was the director of a factory, and her brother was serving in the army as a first sergeant. Seeing this tense scene, he felt a headache. He walked up to Father Lu and asked, "Uncle Lu, what's going on?" "Team leader Han, I'm sorry to disturb you at this time, but my family can't let this person stay in our house anymore. Not only did she not repent after she stole our eggs and was caught on the spot, but she even dared to threaten my family arrogantly," Father Lu said helplessly as he explained. Han Yuheng saw the eggs and dirt on Zyro Yiking's shoes and pants. He rubbed his forehead and said, "Uncle Lu, it's already so late, can you let her stay for one night? I assure you she will leave tomorrow." When he was about to negotiate with Father Lu, Zyro Yiking suddenly interrupted their conversation. "Why should I leave? Hasn't the production team already paid the rent? I have the right to stay here." Hearing her words, Lu Jiu couldn't help laughing. Everyone was confused when they heard her laughter. "What are you laughing at?" Zyro Yiking asked angrily. After laughing for a while, Lu Jiu finally said, "Of course I'm laughing at you." "You?" Zyro Yiking was rendered speechless as she pointed at Lu Jiu. "What about me? This is the first time in my life that I have seen such a shameless person like you. I think your face is thicker than the Great Wall," Lu Jiu sneered. Everyone let out a sniffle laugh after hearing her words. Zyro Yiking felt humiliated and wanted to scold Lu Jiu, but was interrupted instead. "You are a thief who was caught by me on the spot, yet you dare to act arrogantly in my house. What, is your father one of the heads of the government, or is your brother a general?" Lu Jiu raised her eyebrows and asked. "No matter what your father or brother's status is, you are still a thief who needs to be punished," Lu Jiu added sharply. After hearing her words, everyone including Pan Majia and Zyro Yiking fell silent. They didn't expect that a person who was born in the village could speak eloquently. "Zyro Yiking, you should be glad that my father decided to just let you go. If you continue to disrespect my parents, I will report you. Do you believe it?" Lu Jiu said coldly. Sensing that the situation might get out of control, Han Yuheng hurriedly said, Juyu, let's settle this matter privately. After all, if this matter gets to the authorities, the reputation of our brigade will be affected. Lu Jiu glanced at Han Yuheng, then at Zyro Yiking and said, You should thank Brother Han. If it wasn't because of him, I would have reported you. Han Yuheng breathed a sigh of relief when he heard her words, and nodded at her gratefully. Then Team Leader Han, what do you think we should do? Father Lu asked. This, Han Yuheng frowned as he looked at the eggs and the messy chicken coop. After a while, Han Yuheng said, Uncle Lu, Miss Zyro will pay for the eggs and move out. Why should I leave? I have already said that I will not leave, Zyro Yiking shouted angrily. Zyro Yiking, Han Yuheng suddenly roared. Startled by his loud voice, she immediately fell silent. Han Yuheng took a deep breath, suppressed the anger and irritability in his heart, and said, If you don't want to go to jail, you better shut up and do as I say. Zyro Yiking gritted her teeth and clenched her fists while her heart was burning with anger. She stared at everyone with red eyes full of grievance, as if she was being bullied by the whole world. Lu Jiu and Pan Magia looked at her calmly, each with their own thoughts. Han Yuheng turned to Father Lu and said, Uncle Lu, the price of eggs in the Statron supply store is 8 cents each. Since she didn't use the coupon to buy the eggs, then Zyro Yiking will give you 10 cents each. What do you think of this price? We will follow Team Leader Han's suggestion. Father Lu nodded after thinking for a while. Seeing that they had reached an agreement, Wang Muxiao hurried into the chicken coop. The chicken coop was very small, and as soon as she entered, she pushed Zyro Yiking out. As a person who used to work in the field, Wang Muxiao's strength cannot be underestimated despite her thin body. With just one push, she almost pushed Zyro Yiking to the ground. Inside the chicken coop, Wang Muxiao hurriedly inspected each egg carefully, choosing the cracked eggs and picking up the broken eggs. When she came out of the coop, she carried a small basket with 8 eggs in it. 4 broken eggs with nothing remained beside the shells, and 4 others had several cracks. She walked up to Father Lu and said, Father, there are 8 eggs in total. 4 were smashed and 4 were cracked. Father Lu nodded, handed the basket to Han Yuheng to show the eggs, and said, Team Leader Han, please check. Han Yuheng looked at the egg, nodded, then looked at Zyro Yiking and said, Miss Zyro, you need to pay the Lu family 80 cents. Without waiting for Zyro Yiking to respond, Wang Muxiao said, Team Leader, she still needs to compensate our chicken coop and the frightened old hens. You see, if the old hen is frightened, it will not be able to lay eggs for a few days. My family's old hen is very good. It can lay 3 to 5 eggs every day. Now they are frightened badly and won't lay eggs for at least 3 days. Will she not compensate us? There is still a chicken coop, see the door. She also broke it and we will need money to repair it, Wang Muxiao added distressingly. Zyro Yiking's expression darkened upon hearing her words. It seems that Wang Muxiao is determined to drill a big hole in her pocket tonight, but she was in the wrong, so her argument is weak. Han Yuheng knew that what Wang Muxiao said was not nonsense. But can the old hens of the Lu family really lay 3 or 5 eggs a day? It seems too exaggerated. As if knowing that he didn't believe what she said, Wang Muxiao said again, If you don't believe what I say, I'll show you. After leaving this sentence, she went into the chicken coop again, picked up all the eggs, and then came out. After coming out, Wang Muxiao showed the basket in her hand to Han Yuheng and said at the same time, Look, team leader, there are 14 eggs in total. Adding the 8 eggs that were broken, there are 22 eggs in total. We only have 5 old hens, so an old hen really can lay 3 or 5 eggs. Han Yuheng was surprised when he saw the number of eggs. It is rare for an old hen to lay so many eggs a day. If it can lay 1 or 2 eggs a day, it's already considered pretty good. With conclusive evidence, he looked at Zyro Yiking and said, It is true that the old hens will not lay eggs for at least 3 days after being frightened. Let's count it as 5 old hens laying 20 eggs a day. In this way, after 3 days, that will be 60 eggs. As for the door, you will only have to pay 50 cents as a repair fee. Wang Muxiao was very satisfied with the money she earned from Zyro Yiking and was busy counting with her fingers. While everyone was still counting, Lu Jiu said, The broken egg costs 80 cents, the repair fee is 50 cents, and the compensation is 6 yuan, a total of 7 yuan and 30 cents. Miss Zyro, please pay before leaving. When Zyro Yiking heard that it cost more than 7 yuan, she almost spit out 3 liters of blood. Under Han Yuheng's threatening gaze, she could only take out her pouch to pay. Wang Muxiao grabbed the money from her hand, counted it 3 times before saying, The total is correct. There is not a cent more or less. Afterwards, under Wang Muxiao's strict supervision, Zyro Yiking packed her clothes and left with Han Yuheng with a darkened face. Before leaving, she turned her head to look at Lu Jiu and said coldly, You are just a mob character who is destined to die. Just wait, I will make you regret what you did today. Lu Jiyu was stunned when she heard her words. As it turned out, her guess was correct. The current female lead was a transmigrator. The current heroine is arrogant, ambitious, and ignorant, while the original character setting of the heroine is smart, generous, kind, and warm-hearted. It was different from the plot she read in her previous life. Will these changes bring another butterfly effect to the plot? While Lu Jiyu was deep in her thoughts, the rest of the Lu family looked at Zyro, yiking like they were looking at a mental patient. No one understood what she was talking about. Husband, can you understand what she's saying? Chen Anwen tugged on Lu Heng's sleeve and asked in a low voice. How would I know what a lunatic is thinking? Lu Heng asked her back in confusion. Okay, it's late. Everyone, go back to your room and rest, Mother Lu said to disperse them. After everyone returned to the room, Pan Magia lay on the bed with her eyes open. Zyro Yiking's words kept circling in her mind. Although she didn't understand the meaning of that sentence, she can be sure that this matter is very important, because when Lu Jiyu heard this sentence, she looked surprised. While her friend is not in this world anymore, Lu Jiyu treats her very well. Between Zyro Yiking and Lu Jiyu, she would choose to help the latter without hesitation. Since Zyro Yiking dared to threaten Lu Jiyu so blatantly, then she must have a plan. That being the case, she should follow her closely and stop her plan. After making this decision, Pan Magia closed her eyes and fell asleep. In the room, Wang Muxiao took out a small bag and counted the money. Seeing his wife smiling while counting the money, Lu Cheng asked casually, when would you hand over the money to mother? Hearing his words, Wang Muxiao's hands froze, and she turned to stare at her husband. Can you stop pouring a bucket of cold water on my head whenever I'm feeling happy? Why are you staring at me? I'm just reminding you. Otherwise, when mother thinks about the money, you will be the one who suffers. Lu Cheng rolled his eyes at his wife and said, Your stinky mouth, can't you say something nice? You should learn from your older brother. See how he treats sister-in-law and how you treat me. Wang Muxiao was irritated by his words and couldn't help but pinched his arm a few times. Ouch, ouch, pain. Feeling the severe pain, Lu Cheng yelled while dodging her hand. Before you ask me, you should see how you behave. If you are as gentle as your sister-in-law, I will treat you like my brother treats his wife, Lu Cheng added, rubbing his arms. Being used to their daily quarrels, Lu Cheng didn't think much about his words, nor Wang Muxiao's words. But when he raised his head and saw Wang Muxiao sniffing with red eyes, he was taken aback and panicked. I know it, you must feel regret marrying me, right? Woo, you still can't forget your gentle white moonlight, can you? Wang Muxiao said while her tears were rolling down from the corners of her eyes like broken pearls. Seeing her crying and bringing up the past matter so suddenly, Lu Cheng hurried forward to hug her, but his hand was slapped away instead. Don't touch me, go find your gentle white moonlight, Wang Muxiao pushed him and said while crying. Xiao, what are you talking about? How can you tell me to find her? She is already married and has her own children. What's more, if I really leave, won't you be pissed off? Lu Cheng looked at her crying pitifully and said helplessly. So you really plan to find her if she isn't married? Wang Muxiao was shocked and asked with disbelief. Hearing her accusation, Lu Cheng only felt his head swell. He took a deep breath to calm down and coaxed her. I didn't say that. You have wrongly accused me. All right, don't cry. If you cry again, your eyes will swell. I don't want to cry either, but your words make me so sad that I can't stop crying, Wang Muxiao said, wiping her tears and snot with Lu Cheng's sleeve. She didn't understand why she was crying like this all of a sudden. Normally, even if her husband said harsh words, she would not feel anything because she knows he didn't mean it and was just teasing her. But today, his words hurt her heart, causing her tears to flow uncontrollably. It's all my fault, okay, don't cry, Lu Cheng coaxed while hugging his wife. He doesn't know what happened to Wang Muxiao. Normally, even if he said harsh words, she would not feel anything and laugh it off. But today he was just joking with her, yet she cried so sadly and even brought up that person. Is she at that time of the month? While Lu Cheng was counting the day, Wang Muxiao finally calmed down and said hoarsely, I'll count the money again and give it to mother. Knowing that his wife only likes to count money and didn't have any intention to keep the money for herself, Lu Cheng nodded and said, Okay, just do as you wish. Lu Cheng looked at his wife and smiled. Although she was not as plump as the other women, she had a voluptuous figure that suited his liking despite being slender. She also looks pretty and looks younger than her actual age. Even with a daughter, many men still have their eyes on her. If it weren't for her poisonous mouth, perhaps she would be able to marry the citterfolk. Fortunately, she has a powerful mouth, which works in his favor. Wang Muxiao counted the money slowly and then went to find Mother Lu. When she entered the living room, Lu Jiu had just come out of the kitchen with steamed cakes. Seeing her red eyes, Lu Jiu froze for a moment and asked, "Second sister-in-law, what's wrong? Why did you cry?" It was embarrassing for Wang Muxiao to be caught crying. While she likes to argue with her husband, it's just the two of them behind the closed door. In front of others, she would of course save her husband a lot of face. After all, if she doesn't even give face to him as a wife, how can he go out and win the respect of others? So in the face of Lu Jiu's questioning, Wang Muxiao just said, "It's nothing. Dust got into my eyes. It's much better now." Lu Jiu nodded and said nothing. She went to find her eldest sister-in-law, while Wang Muxiao went into Mother Lu's room. Seeing her coming so late, Mother Lu asked, "Zyro, what's the matter?" Sitting on the edge of the Kang bed, Wang Muxiao took out a purse and said, "Mother, this is the money from the past 2 days. There are 18 yuan and 30 cents in it." Mother Lu knew where the money came from, so she took the money, took out 3 yuan and handed it to Wang Muxiao. "This is for you. Buy some delicious food for Zyro Feng. Don't be too stingy with the child." Wang Muxiao didn't expect her mother-in-law to give her some money. She was overjoyed, nodded and said, "I understand. Thank you, Mother." "Go to rest early," Mother Lu waved her hand and said. Wang Muxiao returned home happily with the money in her hand. At the same time, Lu Jiu was sitting on the Kang bed in the first branch's house, helping Lu Wenmu put on his new sweater. There is a bowl of steamed cakes on the table. "Jiu, these must cost a lot of money," Chen Anwen said while touching the sweater. "The wool feels soft and smooth on her hands. Just by looking at the texture, she knew it was expensive." "It's not expensive. I bought the leftover wool from a factory, so the price is cheaper," Lu Jiu said with a smile. "The clothes are really warm, thank you, Auntie," Lu Wenyi said while touching his face with gloves. "It's good if you like it," Lu Jiu rubbed his hair and said with a smile. Seeing these sweaters, scarves, gloves, socks and stomach warmers, Chen Anwen couldn't help but say, "Jiu, you should save the money for yourself." "Sister-in-law, I'm going to get married in 2 days. After getting married, it won't be easy for me to make new clothes for my nephew and brother anymore. Just accept it with ease. This is my New Year's gift for my family," Lu Jiu said. Now that Lu Jiu has said so, Chen Anwen no longer refuses. After a brief chat, Lu Jiu went to visit his second brother. Not long after she knocked on the door, Wang Muxiao opened the door. Seeing the big bundle and a bowl of steamed cakes in Lu Jiu's hands, her eyes lit up. "Jiu, just come if you want. There is no need to bring anything. Come in quickly," Wang Muxiao said while taking the items from Lu Jiu's hand. "Second sister-in-law, I came to share some steamed cake with you and Zyro Feng," Lu Jiu said as he walked towards the room. As soon as she entered the room, she heard Lu Cheng's voice. "Oh, so you only think of your sister-in-law and your niece, and forget your brother." Lu Jiu smiled, sat on the Kang bed and said, "Second brother, don't worry, you also have a share." Hearing this, Lu Cheng sat up and asked curiously, "What did you bring? Show me, hurry up." As soon as the words fell, Wang Muxiao opened the bamboo basket and took out a bowl of steamed cakes. Lu Cheng's eyes lit up the moment he saw the cake. He took a sniff and felt his saliva flow down instantly. He stretched out his hand but was slapped away by Wang Muxiao. "You just finished dinner, we'll save it for tomorrow," she said and hurriedly put the steamed cake into the cabinet. Watching his wife take away the steamed cake, Lu Cheng withered like a frozen eggplant while complaining, "Can't you give me 1 slice? There are 8 slices." Lu Jiu smiled as she watched the interaction between Lu Cheng and Wang Muxiao. Unlike the eldest brother and his wife who treat each other with love and respect, the second brother has a poisonous mouth and frank personality. Fortunately, he found a wife who could put up with his harsh words and still love him dearly. Otherwise, he might stay as a bachelor until he dies. When Wang Muxiao came back, she took a piece of steamed cake and handed it to Lu Cheng while saying, "Here, eat and stop complaining. You are already so old and you still act like a child. Aren't you ashamed?" "Where am I old? I'm only 23 years old and at my prime," he said while eating the steamed cake. Wang Muxiao rolled her eyes at him, then turned to look at Lu Jiu. "Jiu, what's in the package?" "This is a New Year's gift I prepared for my second brother, second sister-in-law and Zyro Feng. Open it and see if you like it," Lu Jiu said with a smile. Wang Muxiao was a little curious, so she opened the package, and when she saw what was inside, she couldn't help but gasp. She pulled out sweaters, gloves, hats, socks and stomach warmers. Although she is stingy, she has good eyesight. She knew at a glance that these things were made of high-quality wool. This must have cost Lu Jiu a lot of money. "It's too expensive, how can we accept it?" She said this, but she was unwilling to put down what she was holding. Second sister-in-law, I also prepared the same thing for my elder brother and the others. You can accept it with ease. It's already late, so I won't bother you any longer, Lu Jiyu said as she stood up. Thank you, Jiyu, Wang Muxiao said quickly and sent her to the door. Second sister-in-law, we are a family, don't be so polite to me. After leaving these words, Lu Jiyu went back to her room and locked the door. She went to her space to take a hot shower and then rested. Early the next morning, Lu Jiyu woke up because of the cold. It was still dark when she opened the window. With the cold wind blowing, she quickly closed the window, put on a cotton jacket, and walked to the backyard. After washing her face, Lu Jiyu goes to the chicken coop and fills up the feeders and water bowls. She noticed that after the chickens ate the water and chicken feed from her space, they became stronger and produced more eggs each day. Now, they lay at least 4 to 5 eggs a day, which is illogical. She picked up the eggs, placed them in a bamboo basket, and went to wash them. There are 25 eggs in total. If they are lucky, they will be the ones with double yolks between the eggs. As a chef, she knows how to differentiate eggs and separate double yolks from other eggs. Of the 46 eggs in the kitchen, a total of 12 eggs may contain double yolks. She stores the double yolk eggs in her space and the rest in the cabinet. After filling up the water tank in the kitchen with the water from the space, Lu Jiyu started to make breakfast. The weather is so cold today, so she made ginger milk, scallion pancakes, and meat buns. After making breakfast, she stored some food in her own space. She walked to the backyard and saw that it was not yet dawn, so she thought of the old men in the cowshed. At this time, their production team did not have much work, so their food will be reduced too. Thinking of their situation, she took a basket from the cupboard and walked towards the cowshed. Fortunately, it was still dark and no one noticed her. When she arrived at the cowshed, she heard people arguing and there was a sound of beating coming from inside. She was worried about the old men, but she couldn't go in and expose herself. This would put her family and even Li Chenmo in danger. In the end, she could only wait anxiously behind the tree. Not long after, she saw Zyro Yiking walking out of the cowshed with obvious anger in her eyes. She spat out and threw a rod to the bush before leaving. After confirming that she had left, Lu Jiyu hurried to the cowshed. As soon as she entered, she saw that the old men were injured. They had bruises on their faces and blood on their arms or legs. Grandpa, are you okay? Lu Jiyu walked towards them quickly, checking their injuries. Hiss, little girl, we're fine, it was just a small wound, said an old man while taking a deep breath in pain. Grandpa, let me see your wounds. You can't leave them untreated in the winter. It could lead to bigger problems. Lu Jiyu persuaded them as she helped them lean against the wall. Before they could react, she took out a bamboo tube filled with water, a piece of clean cloth, and a jar of ointment for wounds from her space using the bamboo basket as a cover. She poured water on the cloth and began to wash the wound, then applied ointment. It took her 15 minutes to treat their wounds. When she was done, she handed the ointment to them and asked, Grandpa, what does Zyro Yiking want from you? Do you know her? An old man asked. Yes, she arrived a few days ago. She is from the capital and is one of the educated youths sent by the government. She nodded. Hearing her words, the elderly snorted and said, What educated youth? She is just a greedy vermin. She came to force us to hand over our map. What map? Lu Jiyu asked. The old man realized his slip of the tongue and turned his head away, avoiding her gaze. Lu Jiyu guessed that this map might be the location where they buried their wealth before they were sent to reform farms. She didn't have any intention of wanting anything from them. Therefore, when the old man didn't want to continue this topic, she didn't force it. Grandpa, next time she comes to beat you, you should report her to team leader Han, she reminded them. It's useless, she is an educated youth, and we are criminals. If we report this incident, not only will we not get the justice we deserve, but it will cause more trouble. So let's forget about it, the old man said wearily. Hearing the old man's words, Lu Jiyu fell silent. In the end, she could only sigh and took out a few bamboo tubes filled with ginger milk, some scallion pancakes, and meat buns from the bamboo basket. She handed it to them and said, Grandpa, I'm getting married tomorrow, so I can't come as often as now. You need to take care of yourself. If you need anything, you can tell my sister-in-law. As long as I can, I will help you. The old man took the hot food and said, Little girl, we have nothing to give you. We can only wish you happiness. It's enough to have your blessing. It's late now, I have to go. Grandpa, see you next time. After leaving these words, Lu Jiyu hurried back to her home. As soon as she put away the bamboo basket, the Lu family members woke up one after another. She went to wash her hands and then brought the food to the living room. Before long, everyone was already sitting around the table. Seeing that Pan Magia was only sitting in her room, Lu Jiu waved to her and said, "Sister Pan, come and have breakfast together." Although Pan Magia had a stomach ache due to hunger, she still shook her head and said, "Thank you, Sister Lu, I'm not hungry." As soon as she finished speaking, there was a loud noise coming from her stomach. Mother Lu glanced at her and said, "Come and eat while the meal is still hot." With Mother Lu's consent, Lu Jiu went to pull Pan Magia from the room and let her sit beside her. As the only outsider at the dinner table, Pan Magia felt very uncomfortable. She felt like she was sitting on pins and needles. Father Lu picked up the chopsticks and said, "Let's eat." After Father Lu and Mother Lu picked the food, everyone began to eat. Lu Jiu put a meat bun on Pan Magia's bowl and poured her a glass of ginger milk. "Eat up, I made a lot." "Thank you," Pan Magia muttered in a low voice and began to eat. No one said anything as she ate with them, not because of their generosity, but for the past 2 days, Pan Magia has been helping them with housework. With her help, the workload of Mother Lu and Father Lu has been greatly reduced. For the elderly, the winter season is very difficult, because they suffer from rheumatism, and it will be very painful when the weather is cold. Although she is from the capital, Pan Magia's family is not rich. She has been doing housework since she was a child, so she was very good with house chores. Not only does she work fast, but she is also honest and very hardworking. The longer the Lu family spent time with her, the more they understood the difference between Pan Magia and Zyro Yiking. Therefore, when Lu Jiu invited her to have a meal together, they agreed tacitly. After breakfast, before Lu Jiu went out, Mother Lu called her and said, "Yu, ask your brother to send the food. You will be getting married tomorrow, so you should stay at home today." "All right," she nodded after thinking for a while. Her plan to visit the supply store would have to be cancelled. Lu Jiu agreed, went to the kitchen to prepare the food and handed the bamboo basket to her second brother. Lu Cheng delivered the meal and she couldn't go to the state-owned supply store, so she went to her parents' room. When Mother Lu saw her coming, she motioned for her to sit beside her. Seeing her mother mending her father's clothes, she put a package on the bed and said, "Father, Mother, I made these clothes for you. This is a New Year's gift." "This child, why are you spending money so recklessly? Our clothes are still new, and we can still wear them for a few years," Mother Lu said with a frown, but there was a hint of joy in her voice. "Mother, don't be angry. Isn't it because I'm getting married tomorrow and want to give you and my father a set of new clothes?" Hearing Lu Jiu's words, Mother Lu sighed and said with red eyes, "It seemed like yesterday when you were the size of my palm. Now you are getting married tomorrow. Time flies." "Mother, after I get married, I will come back to see you often," Lu Jiu said, holding Mother Lu's hand. "After you get married, we will become your natal family. You can't come back to visit us all the time, or people will gossip about you and our family. Always remember to be frugal and don't waste money. Your money is earned through your husband's hard work, you need to save it," Mother Lu couldn't help reminding her. I know, Mother, try on the clothes, see if they fit." Lu Jiu nodded and changed the subject. Mother Lu and Father Lu thought that Lu Jiu had prepared a piece of clothing for each of them, but when they saw the full set of sweaters, a new set of clothes, trousers, and even a padded jacket, they couldn't help but gasp. No wonder the packages are so big. Before they reprimanded her again, Lu Jiu hurriedly urged them to try the new clothes. Distracted, Father Lu and Mother Lu's focus was on the new clothes. Seeing that the size is not too big, Lu Jiu nodded and said, "You look really good in it. Father, Mother, wear it tomorrow, okay?" They handled the clothes carefully, folded them neatly, and put them in the closet. Seeing their cautious movements, Lu Jiu felt bitter in her heart. People in this era are too poor. Coupled with the government's monopoly and strict regulations, there is no way to improve the living standards of commoners. Each year they could only buy 5 feet of fabric each, just enough to make a shirt or a pair of trousers. After chatting with her parents for a while, she went back to her room, locked the door and went into her space. Tomorrow is her wedding and she is as nervous as any other bride, but nothing can divert her attention. So she spends her time making wine, baking cookies, making desserts, making clothes, or knitting in her space. The 12 days she spent in her space equated to nearly 10 hours outside. After leaving her space, she went to prepare lunch. While Lu Jiu was spending her time leisurely, Li Chenmo was sulking in his room. Early this morning, he was in a good mood as he waited for Lu Jiu's arrival. But when it was Lu Cheng who delivered the food, his good mood disappeared in an instant. Lu Cheng saw that he was in a bad mood, and he not only didn't sympathize with him, but also teased him, which made his mood even more gloomy. At this time, Father Li was helping with the renovation of Li Chenmo's wedding house, so he was left alone in the house again. With nothing to do, he walks around the room, exercising his muscles. After returning from the county seat, his legs no longer hurt and he can walk without crutches. But he had already promised Lu Jiu, so he still used it when he walked around the house. After walking for half an hour, his forehead and back were soaked with sweat. As he was sitting on the bed to take a rest, he heard someone jumping over the fence. Indeed, fences are only used to keep honest people out, not burglars, he said with a low voice. Although he could hear the other person's footsteps clearly, he pretended not to know. He is sitting on the bed and reading a book. It wasn't long before his room was pushed open from the outside, and he finally saw the face of the intruder. Seeing the other person's face, Lee Chenmo frowned and asked, "What are you doing here?" "Lee Chenmo, if it wasn't for you, Lu Jiu should be my wife now. You should call off the engagement, or I won't be polite to you." Hearing this, Lee Chenmo's face darkened and said with a sneer, "With your little capability, you dare to threaten me." The other person showed the rod on his hand and said, "You are just a cripple. How dare you ruin my good things? Lu Jiu is my woman." Duak crack. As soon as he finished speaking, a punch hit him in the face, making a loud noise. With just one punch, he was sent flying several meters away, hit the table in the living room, and then fell to the ground. Cough, he spat out a mouthful of blood together with his two front teeth. His nose was broken by the punch and crooked. Before he could react, Lee Chenmo stepped on his chest and looked at him coldly from above. "Yang Lichao, you better watch your words. If you dare to call her name with your dirty mouth again, I will definitely make you regret being born," Lee Chenmo said through gritted teeth. As he spoke, he slowly increased the strength of his legs. He looked at Yang Lichao, who was struggling desperately and wanted to break free from him. When Lee Chenmo remembered that this bastard was the one who plotted against Lu Jiu before, his anger became more intense, and he stepped on Yang Lichao's chest harder. "If not because of you, Jiu wouldn't have to endure those malicious rumors for 2 years, but I should thank you. If it wasn't for you, she wouldn't have gotten engaged to me and become my wife." Lee Chenmo let out a chuckle. He looked even scarier than King Yummer at the moment. "Please spare me. I promise I won't dare again," Yang Lichao said weakly as he tried to move Lee Chenmo's feet from his chest. He felt that his ribs were about to be broken by Lee Chenmo. Crack! "Arg!" Yang Lichao screamed as he felt a severe pain in his chest. Lee Chenmo heard the sound of bones breaking and reluctantly moved his feet away from Yang Lichao's chest. He looked at Yang Lichao, who was curled up on the ground with blood dripping from the corner of his mouth. "Don't worry, you won't die. I only broke one of your lower ribs. This is a warning to you. If you dare to bother my wife again in the future, it won't be as simple as breaking one of your ribs," Lee Chenmo said nonchalantly. Yang Lichao could only bear the pain and nodded. Seeing that he already understood what he meant, Lee Chenmo said, "Scram." Yang Lichao crawled towards the door as if he had been pardoned. Lee Chenmo stood at the door, watching him climb to the fence and slowly climb out. After Yang Lichao left, he went to get a rag to clean up the blood on the ground. After he was done, he took out a brazier and lit the charcoal. The charcoal in the living room was lit, and with the window opened, the smell of blood dissipated before Father Lee came back. Satisfied, Lee Chenmo went to sleep. Before noon, the news that the only son of the Yang family had been beaten had spread throughout the entire brigade. There was such a big commotion that even Lu Jiu, who stayed at home, heard it. Some villagers said that Yang Lichao was covered in blood when he was found. When he was sent to the county hospital, he almost couldn't make it. At this time, he was still in a coma due to a broken rib and nose. Just when the women were excited by this gossip, most of the men were busy as they were hired by Han Yuheng to help renovate the ancestral house of the Li family. At noon, Zhang Dongmei pushed a cart full of steamed buns and pickles for the helpers. Behind her, Li Jingqian and Li Jingsu each held a large pot of tea. When they arrived, Li Chen's rushed over to help his wife and children. Seeing that the lunch was ready, Han Yuheng shouted, "Everyone take a rest first. Let's have lunch." When everyone heard his words, they stopped working and went to wash their faces and hands in the river behind the house. Although the weather was cold, their bodies were covered with sweat. Since the house has been vacant for a long time, there are many places that need to be repaired. Fortunately, the beams and columns were all intact, so the work can be done in 2 days. For this job, their salary is 3 yuan for 2 days. Add in lunch and tea, the pay is really not bad. Under normal circumstances, they will only be given lunch while working, and will treat dinner after work is over by the host. This is the first time they have received money as payment. Arguably, they violated government regulations because it was a private transaction. At first no one dared to take the job, but with Han Yuheng's guarantee, they finally took the job. Because everyone benefits from it, no one talks about the salary. When people ask, they would say that they were given lunch, and then invited to dinner after the work is finished. After everyone washed their hands, they went to get 2 steamed buns and a cup of hot tea. Since the steamed bun is made of white flour, even with only pickles, it tastes better than coarse grain steamed buns. Father Li and Li Chen's families were eating under the peach tree when Li Chengshuan and Zhao Siyu walked over. Seeing that they were having lunch, the two walked over and sat across from them. Before Li Chengshuan took the steamed buns, Father Li closed the lid of the basket and asked, "What are you doing here?" Although Li Chengshuan was very unhappy because he didn't get the steamed buns, he didn't dare to do anything under the watchful eyes of his elder brother. He smiled sheepishly and said, "Father, I heard that you are renovating our ancestral house, so we came here to see if there is anything we can do to help." Father Li knew his second son's character well. Hearing what Li Chengshuan said, he knew that they were here as they wanted to get some benefits from him. "It's not necessary, we have enough people. And the renovation will be completed soon," Father Li said as he ate the steamed buns. "Father, how can you say that? It is the responsibility of our Li family to repair the ancestral house. As your son and daughter-in-law, we also need to help," Zhao Siyu said with a smile. Father Li snorted when he heard her words and said, "Do you think I don't know what you're thinking? When we separated the family before, you already got your share. You and your elder brother get the house, money, and some furniture. Therefore, this ancestral house will be given to your third brother." "Father, it's different. We do have a house, but it's only a 3-bedroom house. As for the money, we only got 350 yuan, Zhao Siyu said with a frown, clearly displeased. "What's the difference? Do you think 350 yuan is a small amount? Most of the money in our family was given by the third son. However, when we separated, he didn't get a penny. If you want to bring that up, shall we talk about the money you borrowed before? When will you give it back to me?" Father Li asked with a trace of anger. Hearing that Father Li wanted to ask for the borrowed money, Li Chengshuan tugged on his wife's sleeve. He looked at Father Li and said, "Father, that's not what we mean." "Then what do you mean by those ugly words?" Li Chen's asked. "Brother, this matter has nothing to do with you. Why did you interrupt when I was talking to our father?" Li Chengshuan asked with a frown. "What, as your elder brother, I can't even ask you now?" Li Chen's asked with a frown. Before Li Chengshuan could refute, Father Li interrupted him. "This matter has nothing to do with you, so don't ask any more." Zhao Siyu was unwilling to get no benefit and said, "Father, even if this house is given to the third brother, you should give us some money to compensate for our share. This house is a courtyard house, and the value is more than the 3-bedroom house and 350 yuan. Father Li finally looked at her and asked coldly, "So you want me to make a private transaction with you now?" Hearing this, Li Chengshuan and Zhao Siyu were taken aback. This charge could land them in jail. "Father, what are you talking about? We are just asking for our share. How can you accuse us like this?" Li Chengshuan shouted angrily. "Father has already told you that this house is our third brother's share. You have already taken yours. Do I have to beat you first before your brain can understand people's words?" Li Chen's asked displeasedly. Li Chengshuan was so angry that his face turned red. "Enough, I ask you to return this time to celebrate your third brother's wedding and help with the preparation. If you just want to make trouble, you don't have to attend tomorrow's wedding," Father Li said angrily. Seeing that they couldn't get any benefit from this matter, Zhao Siyu stood up and said, "We know that father has always been prejudiced against me and my husband, but we didn't expect you to treat us like this. In that case, we would not bother to have such a family." After leaving these words, she shook her sleeves and left angrily. Father Li was enraged by her words and asked, "Second son, are you not going to control your wife? Is that how she talks to her elders?" Li Chengshuan looked at his father and said angrily, "Is Siyu wrong? Since I'm young, you always beat and scolded me, but you always give good things to my third brother. In your heart, have you ever regarded me as your son?" "Second brother, watch your words," Li Chen's shouted at him. "Out of the 3 of us, I was the one who always got beaten and scolded by our father. You don't know how I feel at all, so don't act like you understand everything," Li Chengshuan said as he breathed heavily. All his dissatisfaction and hatred were finally exposed. Li Chen's looked at him in disbelief. Has the second brother always thought so in his heart? Although they never said it out, he and Li Chenmo always shared their things and the money they earned with Li Chengshuan. Despite his bad attitude, they have always treated him as their closest brother. "Second brother, father did those things because he cared about you and worried about you. What you did back then was wrong. Father educated you out of the love of parents. How can you resent our father for that?" Li Chen's asked with wide eyes. "Caring about me, worrying about me. This is the funniest joke I've ever heard. Is it because I'm not as good as you two? Whenever our father looks at me, he always looks disappointed. He always scolds me, but never even once he praises me. No matter how hard I try to please him, he only cares about the third brother and you," Li Chengshuan sneered. Hearing Li Chengshuan's words, Father Li closed his eyes in disappointment. After a long time, he finally asked, "Since you resent me, why do you still call me father?" Li Chengshuan was taken aback. Indeed, if he resented his father, why did he call him father and seek his approval? He lowered his head, clenched his fists tightly, and said through gritted teeth, "From now on, I will never call you father again. I don't need this kind of relative." After saying this, Li Chengshuan turned around and caught up with his wife, leaving behind a stunned Father Lei and a worried Li Chen's. Zhang Dongmei and the twins didn't dare to say a word from the beginning to the end. Li Chen's looked at his father worriedly and said, "Father, the second brother didn't mean that. Give him time to calm down and he will realize his mistake." Father Li looked into the distance and sighed, "Let him go. From the moment he decided to marry Zhao Siyu as his wife, I knew that this day would definitely come." Zhang Dongmei lowered her eyes and did not speak, but she agreed with her father-in-law. The reason their relationship has come to this point is because Zhao Siyu keeps fanning the flames and sowing discord between Li Chengshuan and his family. If her second brother-in-law had married a good girl, the situation today would not have happened. Because they were so loud, everyone heard what they were saying, but everyone acted as if they heard nothing and saw nothing. They continued to work until it was dark before they finally finished the renovation. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief as they finally finished it within the stipulated time. This is the first time they have repaired such a huge house in just 2 days. Standing in the front yard, Father Li and Li Chen's were very satisfied with the result. Although only the damaged parts of the house have been repaired, it doesn't look as dilapidated as before. It was good enough as a wedding house. They can slowly fix the rest. When everyone was leaving, Li Chen saw them off and said, "Thank you everyone. Please come to the wedding banquet tomorrow. You don't need to bring any gifts." "We will definitely come, just remember to prepare a good wine," one of them said with a smile. "Don't worry, Brother Wang, I'll prepare a good wine especially for you." After hearing his words, everyone was overjoyed and left with a smile. After everyone left, Father Li took Li Chen's and Han Yuheng back to Li's house. After entering the room, they saw Lu Cheng napping on the Kang bed, and Li Chenmo was reading a book. Seeing them coming, Li Chenmo said, "Father, brother, you are back." Father Li looked at Lu Cheng who was snoring and said, "Third son this." Jiyu was worried that I was alone, so she asked her second brother to accompany me when he sent over my lunch. Li Chenmo said, pushing Lu Cheng to wake him up. After being pushed several times, Lu Cheng finally let out a grunt of displeasure because of being disturbed. He waved his hand and said, "Wife, let me sleep for another 5 minutes." Li Chenmo let out a low laugh, patted his arm and said, "Second brother, wake up and go back." The sky had already darkened. After a while, Lu Cheng finally opened his eyes and looked around blankly. When he looked at Father Li, Li Chen's, and Han Yuheng, all his sleepiness disappeared instantly. He quickly sat up and wiped the drool in the corner of his mouth. "Hehe, Uncle Li, Brother Chen's, team leader, when did you come back?" Lu Cheng said embarrassedly while putting on his shoes. Seeing him feeling embarrassed, Father Li smiled and said, "We just arrived. Zyro Cheng, thank you for accompanying Chenmo." Lu Cheng had already put on his shoes and stood up from the bed. He waved his hand and said, "No problem, no problem. We are one family, this is what I should do. Now that Uncle Li is back, I should go back too. Goodbye." Li Chen sent him off while Father Li and Han Yuheng went to discuss the renovation cost in the living room. They hired 50 people with a salary of 3 yuan, so the salary was 150 yuan. The material cost was 200 yuan. After calculating the cost of materials and wages, Father Li gave Han Yuheng 350 yuan. The lunch was prepared by Zhang Dongmei. So it only cost 50 yuan to buy the ingredients. "Team leader, thank you for helping us this time. If it weren't for you, the renovation might take several weeks to complete." Father Li expressed his heartfelt thanks to Han Yuheng. "Uncle Lei, I should be the ones thanking you for letting the educated youths live in your home." Father Li just smiled and said, "Please come to the wedding banquet tomorrow." "I will definitely attend. It's getting late, so I'll take my leave first." "Goodbye, Uncle Li," Han Yuheng stood up and said. "Walk slowly." After seeing off Han Yuheng, Father Li chatted with Li Chen's for a while and then returned to the house. Li Chen's walked towards his home with a basket filled with 10 eggs and a catty of meat. It was given to Zhang Dongmei and the twins by Father Li. In the past 2 days, they have worked hard, so the eggs are for them to replenish their health. Father Li finished washing up and returned to his room. After locking the door, he took out a bundle from the cabinet and opened it. The bundle contained the money he had saved over the years. After paying the renovation fee, he still has 45.75 yuan. He took out 4,000 yuan and wrapped it in a red cloth. It will be handed over to Lu Jiu tomorrow. Since the money was given by Li Chenmo, Mother Li originally planned to give it to the third daughter-in-law when the third son got married. It's just that she didn't know who would be the wife of her third son until she passed away. Now, Father Li can finally fulfill his late wife's last wish. Father Li hid the red envelope in his clothes, wrapped 575 yuan in old cloth, and put it in the dark compartment of the cabinet. After patting the money in his clothes, he finally fell asleep with a smile. Tomorrow will be a good day. Early the next morning, before the rooster even woke up, Lu Jiu was woken up by her mother. You get up, go wash up. Today is your big day, you can't sleep in. Mother Lu urged her with a smile. Lu Jiu sat in a daze on the bed, and reality slowly came to her. Today is her wedding. Although she was still nervous and excited, she was much calmer than before. After all, she spent a lot of time brainwashing herself in her own space. After the government abolished religious beliefs, most people stopped holding wedding ceremonies. But some people still hold wedding ceremonies except for offering incense to the gods. So when Lu Jiu went to the backyard, Mother Lu quickly peeled a boiled egg and asked her to eat it while taking a bath. After Lu Jiu was done taking a bath, she was led by Chen Anwen to the living room. The table is full of dishes prepared by her mother and sisters-in-law. There is braised duck, steamed chicken, fish soup, and rice noodle soup. Besides that, there were 4 small plates, 2 with soy sauce and the other 2 with a bit of sugar. Lu Jiu sat on a chair, and Mother Lu stood beside her. She took a piece of boiled chicken meat, dipped it in soy sauce and sugar, and fed it to her. Mother Lu said while feeding her, "Although you may encounter bitter times in your life, there will always be sweet times waiting for you in the end. If you encounter any problems, don't hide them in your heart, tell your husband clearly. As a wife, you must trust and support your husband." Lu Jiu nodded, feeling a little sour in her eyes. Seeing that her eyes were red, Wang Muxiao quickly said, "As a bride you can't cry, quickly wipe away your tears." After hearing what her second sister-in-law said, Lu Jiu smiled and wiped away her tears. After eating, she was led to her room to wait for the matchmaker. In this day and age, a matchmaker also doubles as a makeup artist. When the matchmaker arrived, the sun had just started to rise. Seeing that the bride was already awake and waiting, the matchmaker said, "Oh, what a diligent girl. This is the first time I have seen the bride get ready before I arrive. Since time is limited, let's get started." After saying this, the matchmaker took out several long, thin threads. She twisted it with her palm and used it to clean the hair on Lu Jiu's face. Feeling the pain, Lu Jiu took a deep breath, but the matchmaker kept pulling out her facial hair mercilessly. Luckily, she has a fair complexion and did not have much facial hair. Otherwise, she might pee herself due to the pain before the thing is done. At this moment, Lu Jiu missed the skincare routine in her previous life very much. It would be nice if she could replace this thread pulling with a mask. After they were done, the matchmaker clicked her tongue and said with a smile, "Tusk, tusk, tusk." The groom must have saved the country in his previous life. Otherwise, how could he marry such a beautiful bride? Mother Lu was very happy when she heard the matchmaker's sweet words, and kept smiling. Sister praised her too much. "My daughter likes to stay at home, so she is just a little fairer than others," Mother Lu said with a humble smile. "Sister is too modest. Even if other girls are as fair as your daughter, they can't compare to her beauty at all," the matchmaker said exaggeratedly with a smile. Listening to their words, Lu Jiu was speechless. After the matchmaker praised Mother Lu several times, she took out a set of makeup. When Lu Jiu saw the makeup, her eyes widened immediately, and she hurriedly said, "Auntie, my skin is sensitive and I can't use makeup." "Ah, then what should we do? As a bride you have to wear makeup," the matchmaker said in panic. Lu Jiu felt that everyone could hear her voice, even from 100 meters away. This aunt is so energetic early in the morning. "Auntie, if I put on makeup, I will get a rash," Lu Jiu said helplessly. "In this case, we can only skip it," Mother Lu said disappointedly. "All right then," the matchmaker finally agreed and let Lu Jiu go. "Sister, it's still early. How about having some snacks first?" Mother Lu asked while bringing the matchmaker to the living room. "Sister, thank you for your hospitality." The matchmaker was happy and followed Mother Lu. "Jiu, you can rest for a while. We will go entertain the guests first," Chen Anwen said when she heard people were chatting outside. "Okay." Chen Anwen and Wang Muxiao went to help their husbands receive guests. The wedding banquet will be held at Li Chenmo's house at noon, and their relatives have arrived one after another. They can't be left unattended, so they could only leave Lu Jiu alone. Not long after, there was a knock on the door, followed by Pan Meijia's voice, "Sister Lu, may I come in?" Lu Jiyu was a little surprised that Pan Magia would come to see her this time, and said, "Please come in." Pan Magia entered the room, closed the door, and sat on the Kang bed. She took out a small box from her sleeve, handed it to Lu Jiyu, and said at the same time, "Sister Lu, I don't have anything valuable on me, so I can only give you this." Lu Jiyu took the box and opened it. She was taken aback when she saw the ink pen inside. She closed the box, returned it to Pan Magia, and said at the same time, "It's too expensive, I can't accept it." Pan Magia pushed the box in front of her and said, "I have always wanted to thank you for your kindness. If you are willing to be my friend, please accept this gift." Lu Jiyu looked at the box and said after a while, "Then I'll accept it. Thank you, Magia." She went to the cabinet and took out a book from under her clothes. After sitting down, she handed the book to Pan Magia and said, "This is for you. You must keep it properly. It will be good for you in the future." Pan Magia opened the book and saw that the handwriting inside was neat. Her eyes widened in surprise as she turned the pages. What is written in this book is worth more than the pens. This is a knowledge she didn't even learn as a high school student. "Where did you get this?" she asked in disbelief. "Don't let others know, or the consequences will be serious. If you believe me, just study hard," Lu Jiyu said seriously. Pan Magia fell into deep thought while Lu Jiyu watched her calmly. She is gambling at the moment. She wants to test Pan Magia. If Pan Magia decides to report the book to the authorities, she just needs to keep it in her space without leaving any evidence behind. But if Pan Magia chooses to believe her, it will be a turning point in Pan Magia's fate. The choice is her own. In less than 3 years, the college entrance examination will be held. Judging from the current situation, most of the educated youth no longer study and go out to work in the field. When word of the exam spread, they had less than 3 months to prepare. In total, more than 5.7 million people sat for the test, but only 4.8% were admitted. This is the lowest acceptance rate in Huaxia's history. The book she gave Pan Magia contained all the knowledge she had learned in high school and college. Although she can't remember all the knowledge, at least she can remember 90% of it. As long as Pan Magia understands the content, her chances of passing the exam will be higher. After a while, Pan Magia put the book into her clothes and said, "I promise to bring this secret to the grave." Lu Jiyu breathed a sigh of relief, stretched out her hand and said, "So, this is the first day we have become friends. Friend, please take care of me in the future." Pan Magia held her hand and shook it with a smile. After chatting for a while, Pan Magia left the room to help the Lu family. She does not receive guests, but just helps to boil water and make tea for guests. She also brings chairs for the guests and wash the dishes. Seeing this, Mother Lu and Father Lu note it in their hearts and decide to treat her better to repay her kindness. This is how the villagers interact. If you treat them well, they will treat you better. Unknowingly, Pan Magia has established a good image in the hearts of the villagers. Nobody dislikes a polite, hard-working person. Some even asked her age. When they heard that she was 20 years old, some families had planned to get her as their daughter-in-law. In a joyous atmosphere, Han Yuluo stood under the tree opposite the Lu family. He clenched his fists and looked at Lu Jiyu's window with red eyes. He had stood there since dawn and his clothes were already soaked with dew. When Han Yuluo saw that the wedding procession was coming, he almost couldn't hold back and rushed over to snatch the bride away. But remembering his brother's warning yesterday, he could only stop himself. Unlike his depressed and desperate mood, Li Chenmo was very happy. Every step he took was like stepping on a cloud. He worried that he would fly up because of happiness in the next moment. From the moment he opened his eyes before dawn until now, he couldn't stop smiling. Even when his brother made fun of him, he was not angry and smiled even brighter. Today, Father Li borrowed a tractor from Han Yuheng to pick up the bride. In this era, being able to use a tractor to pick up the bride has already given the bride and her family a lot of face. After all, most people can only walk when picking up the bride. So when they arrived with a great fanfare, the children behind them cheered and the villagers gathered around. It was a great joy for everyone. Li Chenmo has prepared some candies to give away. However, when he entered Li's house, he saw that Lu Jiyu's sisters-in-law were already giving out the wedding candies to everyone. The children and the villagers were delighted when they received the candies. Not only is the packaging beautiful, but there are also many candies inside. 5 Maltose candies, 2 milk candies, and 1 fruit candy. The Li family was amazed when they saw the children take out the candies from small paper bags. Li Chen's glanced at his third brother and saw he was also surprised by the wedding candies. At that moment, he knew that this must be Lu Jiyu's idea. Although giving so many candies was extravagant, it did give the Li family and the Lu family a lot of face, so he was quite happy. As they walked to the house, Father Lu and Mother Lu were already waiting for them inside. Li Chenmo entered the house, bowed to his father-in-law and mother-in-law, and said, "Father, mother, I'm here to pick up Jiyu." Father Lu nodded, and not long after, Lu Jiyu came out wearing a red veil. Her two arms are held by the matchmaker and Chen Anwen. At this moment, she has put on her wedding dress. While unusual, it's not impossible to wear a wedding dress in this day and age. Her wedding dress was actually a simple two-piece dress she had previously owned. In her previous world, this kind of clothes would only be used as everyday wear. But here, it can already be regarded as a very beautiful wedding dress, making other girls envious and jealous. The design is simple yet elegant. The top is a long-sleeved Cheongsam style, and the skirt is an ankle-length pleated pattern. On top of her skirt, there were several long pieces of fabric in the middle that had floral embroidery similar to her top embroidery. When everyone saw Lu Jiyu's wedding dress, they all praised her needlework. Had she been born in ancient times, she would have been a famous seamstress. Even her family was stunned by her wedding dress. They didn't expect her to make this beautiful dress. Most villagers will only pin a red flower on the bride's head and groom's clothes when they hold a wedding. When everyone was fascinated by her wedding dress, Li Chenmo's eyes never left her covered face. Even though the veil blocked his view, he could imagine how beautiful his wife was. When Li Chenmo and Lu Jiyu stood together, everyone realized that they were actually wearing couples' wedding dresses. Li Chenmo's wedding dress was hidden under the military coat, but when he reached out to hold Lu Jiyu's hand, they saw the red suit under his jacket. The embroidery in his clothes is the same as the embroidery on the bride's wedding dress. Under the praise of everyone, Lu Jiyu and Li Chenmo bowed to Father Lu and Mother Lu. After they finished bowing and served tea, Mother Lu cried and said, "Chenmo, from this moment on, I will trust my daughter to you. Please protect her and love her." "Mother, don't worry, I promise you," Li Chenmo said in a deep voice. Father Lu patted Mother Lu's hand and said, "Okay, it's almost time. We shouldn't delay them, otherwise the auspicious time will pass." Father Lu and Mother Lu sent them to the gate and watched them get on the tractor and leave. After returning home, Mother Lu kept crying. Father Lu saw that his wife was crying so much that her eyes were swollen and said distressingly, "All right, stop crying. This is an auspicious day, and it's not like that our daughter will never come back. Her home is close to us and she will often visit us. My daughter is married, can't I cry? From today onward we can no longer spoil her like before. If she is bullied we may not know it," Mother Lu said while sobbing. Chen Anwen saw that Mother Lu was emotional and said, "Mother, don't be too sad. The third brother-in-law has already said that he will let Jiyu come to see you as she wishes. He is your chosen son-in-law, you must trust him." "Sister-in-law is right, we still have to attend the wedding banquet. If your eyes are swollen, others will laugh at you," Wang Muxiao added. Mother Lu glared at her and said, "Go, go, go. Both of you should go and help them." Chen Anwen, Wang Muxiao, and Pan Meijia went to Li Chenmo's house to help cook and prepare the wedding banquet. When they arrived at Li Chenmo's house, the door was already crowded with guests. Inside the living room, Li Chenmo took Lu Jiyu's hand and helped her walk towards Father Li. When they were 2 meters away from Father Li, they saluted Father Li in unison. Afterwards, Lu Jiyu knelt down, and Zhang Dongmei handed Lu Jiyu a cup of tea. "Father, please drink tea," Lu Jiyu said with a trace of nervousness. Father Li took the tea with a broad smile, nodded and said, "Good, good, good." Father Li's joy can be seen clearly in his face. Unlike the others who only took a sip of offering tea to show their position as the parents-in-law, Father Li let out a satisfied sigh after drinking the whole cup, which made everyone laugh. After putting the cup on the table, Father Li took out the red package he prepared at night and handed it to Lu Jiyu. "Your late mother-in-law asked me to give it to her third daughter-in-law," Father Li said with red eyes. Lu Jiyu and others believed that the red package might be Li Chenmo's items from his youth, or some sentimental items left by his mother. Therefore, no one would have thought that there were 4,000 yuan in it. "Thank you, Father, I will cherish it," Lu Jiyu said while taking the red package. The moment she touched the red package, she froze for a moment. She could feel the stacks of papers inside, but what could it be? It is impossible for Father Li to give her so much money. Maybe it was the letter left by Li Chenmo's mother. Thinking of this, she felt more at ease and kept the red package. After pouring tea for his father-in-law, Lu Jiyu and Li Chenmo walked into the bridal chamber led by the matchmaker. Because of the veil, she couldn't see her surroundings clearly, but it took her a while to reach her room. It seems that her wedding house is quite spacious. When they sat on the kang bed covered with a soft mattress, the matchmaker received the red envelope from Li Chenmo and said a few words of congratulation and blessing before leaving. With the help of Li Chen's, all the people who came to see the bride were blocked and led to the living room to attend the wedding banquet. When everyone went out, only Li Chenmo and Lu Jiu were left in the room. The sudden silence made Lu Jiu's heart beat faster. When she felt someone sitting down beside her, she took a deep breath to calm down and said, "Brother Chenmo." Li Chenmo reached out and took off the veil. When he saw Lu Jiu, he froze. Under the veil, Lu Jiu put on light makeup to bring out her best facial features. Her cheeks were flushed from the cold, and she wore pink lipstick which made her lips like a ripe cherry. Seeing her look much more beautiful than usual, Li Chenmo could hardly contain the urge to kiss her. Li Chenmo's Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed, and his voice was hoarse when he said, "Wife, we are finally married." Lu Jiu looked at him, nodded, and said with a smile, "N." After staring at each other for a while, Li Chenmo remembered that they hadn't had their wedding wine yet, so he poured 2 small cups of tea. Since he was still injured, they substituted the wine for tea. They crossed their arms and finished their tea. After drinking the wedding tea, Li Chenmo helped Lu Jiu put on a thick padded jacket, and then went to the living room to attend the wedding banquet together. In this day and age, brides are not left alone in the wedding room waiting for their husbands. Both the bride and groom attend the wedding reception with the guests. Since Li Chenmo is the youngest son and Lu Jiu is the only daughter, both families attach great importance to the wedding. In addition to braised pork, there are herbal chicken soup, roast duck, steamed fish, mixed vegetables, buns, fried noodles, mapo tofu, and white rice. There are a total of 7 dishes and fragrant white rice, which is very luxurious. Not only is meat expensive, but it is also not easy to eat fresh vegetables in winter. When the guests saw that each table had a bottle of baijiu, everyone was overjoyed. For a wedding banquet held in a village, as long as there is 1 meat dish and 3 vegetables dishes, plus white noodles, it is already considered a luxurious wedding banquet. As for Li Chenmo and Lu Jiu's wedding banquet, it was even better than those hosted by those rich people in the capital. While enjoying the delicious food, everyone couldn't help but whisper about the cost of today's wedding banquet. Although it looks and tastes good, a bottle of baijiu already costs 100 yuan. What's more, those meat, white noodles, white rice and vegetables not only need money, but also coupons. Every female guest has a high degree of awareness of the price, and at a glance, they know that each table costs at least 250 yuan, if not more. Today's banquet is only for entertaining relatives and friends, so there are only 4 tables in the living room and 6 tables in the main hall. But every dish on every table was served in a huge portion, which surprised everyone. As for the villagers who were not invited to the wedding banquet, the Lu family and the Li family had already prepared several large pots of fish soup and snacks such as melon seed and biscuits. Everyone knows that if they want to drink fish soup, they have to bring their own bowl, so when the guests are eating and drinking in the living room and the main room, there are 2 queues of villagers holding bowls waiting for their turn to get a bowl of fish soup in the front yard. At this moment, Pan Magia and Wang Muxiao's bosom friend Liu Hua are very busy. After Pan Magia filled the bowl with fish soup, Liu Hua handed a small bag of melon seeds and a piece of biscuit to the villagers. Although they couldn't taste the food of the wedding banquet, they were already very satisfied with the fish soup and snacks. The congratulations from the villagers continued until afternoon. Even small children let out a rainbow fart or 2 in the hope of getting more fish meat or snacks. Pan Magia would laugh when she heard their childish and sweet words, and gave them more fish meat. Although it was not her family's joyous occasion, Pan Magia was still very happy for Lu Jiu. Therefore, even the Lu family did not ask her for help. She helped them out of her own will. It took them more than 2 hours to distribute the fish soup and snacks to the villagers. When she reached the last villager, Liu Hua discovered that they were a pair of brother and sister. Their clothes were old and dirty with many holes. They didn't bring any bowls. Under normal circumstances, when people hold a wedding, they don't like such guests, thinking that it will bring bad luck. But Pan Magia is an educated youth who is receiving education in the capital, so when she saw them, she didn't think too much and asked, "Did you bring the bowl?" "Sister, we don't have a bowl. Can we borrow your bowl and have some soup?" the little boy asked politely. "Of course, wait a minute," Pan Magia said with a smile. Since they had no bowls, she went to the kitchen and found 2 bowls for them. When she came back, she brought 2 big bowls. She scooped up all the fish soup, filled their bowls to the brim and handed them out, saying, "Hold carefully, it's hot." The siblings thanked her and walked to the corner to eat with the bowls in hand. Seeing them sitting on the cold ground, she went and brought them 2 chairs and a brazier. Seeing that she was so kind to the orphans, Liu Hua couldn't help clicking her tongue. The 2 children were abandoned by their mother shortly after their father drowned due to an accident. Since then, they have survived only because of the compassion of the villagers. Occasionally, a villager will give them some food, but the food is limited, At most, they can only give them a pancake or two in a few days, so the siblings usually starve for days before they can eat pancakes. While eating, Pan Majia and Liu Hua started to clean the front yard. After they finished drinking the fish soup, the siblings helped them clean up without saying a word. Seeing that they were so diligent, Pan Majia gave them the remaining snacks before letting them go back. Seeing that Pan Majia was so generous with Lu Jiyu's things, Liu Hua couldn't help asking, I said, girl, are you Lu Jiyu's best friend? How could you give them all of the snacks? She won't blame you in the future, right? Pan Majia didn't feel offended by her words and said, Jiyu won't blame me. These snacks are prepared for guests. Since they are here, they are guests, so we can give it to them. Normally, if there are leftovers after handing out the food during a wedding banquet, they are given to helpers. Therefore, those snacks should be shared equally between her and Pan Majia. Liu Hua looked at Pan Majia from head to toe and said, you are so generous. Pan Majia didn't know whether it was a compliment or criticism, so she just smiled and entered the house. Inside the house, the wedding banquet was already halfway through. Seeing her coming, Chen Anwen gestured for her to sit down and eat. After looking around, she found an empty seat at the corner table. This table was given to the people who were hired to help them renovate Li Chenmo's house. Pan Majia did not know anyone who sat on this table, but since everyone was a guest, she didn't feel embarrassed, so she sat down. Beside her, there was only a middle-aged woman who came with her husband. The rest are unfamiliar men. Sitting next to her was a man in his late 20s. He was tall and, despite his tan skin, looked remarkably handsome. When Pan Majia sat down, the man glanced at her and moved his seat a little to avoid gossip. Noticing his small movements, Pan Majia scooped up a bowl of white rice and ate it silently without saying anything. As she ate happily, she unknowingly filled the third bowl of rice under the surprised eyes of everyone. When she put down her chopsticks, she found that only she and the man beside her were left on the table. Everyone either left after eating, or chatted with the Li and Lu family in another room. Burp. Because she was too full, she burped loudly suddenly, startling the man beside her. Just when she was feeling embarrassed, the man chuckled as he looked at her before leaving. She looked at the back of the man and felt he looked a little bit familiar. She didn't come back to her senses until he left the living room. Pan Majia, what are you thinking? You don't even know who he is or what his name is. She scolded herself while patting her cheek. Back in the living room after the wedding banquet, some guests had already left. There are only a few relatives left. Just when everyone was chatting harmoniously, Li Chengshuan and Zhao Siyu walked in together. Father Li's face darkened when he saw them. He is still angry because of what happened yesterday, so at this time, he didn't want to give them a good face. But Li Chengshuan and Zhao Siyu didn't say hello to Father Li as they ignored him and went to say hello to other relatives. Seeing this, Father Li's face became even more gloomy, seeing their second brother's behavior. Li Chen's and Li Chenmo frowned. Even Lu Jiu thought their behavior was rude. When the guests saw the tense atmosphere after Li Chengshuan and his wife arrived, they left one after another. After the guests left, Father Li returned to his home without even glancing at Li Chengshuan and Zhao Siyu, who were busy eating, while the others started cleaning. Tables, chairs and tableware are borrowed from neighbors and need to be returned later. While everyone was busy cleaning, Lu Jiu went to the kitchen to help clean and wash the dishes. Although she is the bride, she still cannot sit while others are working. When the women saw her come to help, they stopped her. What is the bride doing in the kitchen? Go to your bridal chamber and wait to be pampered by your husband. An aunt looked at her knowingly and said with a teasing smile. Hearing her words, Lu Jiu blushed but said nothing. Jiu, leave the rest to us. Today is your big day and you shouldn't do anything, Chen Anwen said with a smile while cleaning the kitchen. That's right, Jiu. With us here, there is nothing to worry about, Wang Muxiao said, patting her chest. Now that they all said that, Lu Jiu could only agree and said, Sisters-in-law, thank you for helping me today. There is still a lot of food left. Please bring it back and share it with your family so as not to waste it. After hearing her words, everyone was delighted. While it is customary to help each other out at weddings or any celebrations, not many families are willing to give away leftovers. They usually keep the food for themselves. At most, the host would give them some wedding candy and come to help when it was their turn to hold the celebrations. Not long after everyone finished cleaning and left the kitchen, Zhao Siyu entered the kitchen and opened the cupboard. Seeing nothing inside, she closed the door and checked the jar. Today is Lu Jiu's first day at this house, and she hasn't had time to fill the jars yet, so there was nothing in the kitchen. All the ingredients for today's banquet were brought from Father Li's house and prepared by Lu Jiu 2 days ago. Zhao Siyu rummaged in the kitchen for a long time, but still couldn't find anything, so she left angrily. As soon as she came out of the kitchen, she saw Wang Muxiao holding a pot of braised pork. Her eyes lit up, and she hurried over to take the pot. "Give it to me." As soon as Zhao Siyu snatched the pot away, she bumped into Wang Muxiao's body as she left hurriedly. With the sudden collision and the slippery floor, Wang Muxiao was caught off guard and fell to the ground. "Ah!" Wang Muxiao exclaimed due to fright and pain. The fall was so heavy that she felt pain in her back and lower abdomen. Cold sweat broke out on her back and forehead as her face turned pale. She clutched her stomach and lay on the ground shivering. Because Zhao Siyu grabbed the pot and left the kitchen in a hurry, she didn't know about Wang Muxiao's situation at all. Wang Muxiao was in extreme pain, so she could only let out a weak whimper. "Help, someone, save me." As she lay on the cold ground, Lu Cheng, who was sending off the guests outside, suddenly felt anxious for no reason. Fearing that something might happen to his wife, he went to find Wang Muxiao. When he walked to the backyard, he saw his wife lying motionless on the ground. There was a patch of bloodstain on her trousers. In an instant, his heart sank, and he ran to her. "Xirik Xiao," Lu Cheng knelt beside Wang Muxiao and called her. Seeing that she didn't respond, he held her in his arms and shouted, "Someone, please help, call the doctor." Hearing his shout, everyone came over. When they saw the unconscious Wang Muxiao, they were taken aback and quickly called the doctor. When Lu Jiyu and Li Chenmo came over, they saw that the situation was not good. "Second brother, take my second sister-in-law to the room first," Lu Jiyu said, leading the way. Everyone followed Lu Cheng to the room with his wife in his arms. Seeing that Wang Muxiao was unconscious, Lu Jiyu said, "Everyone, please make some space. It's not good if the room is too stuffy." Hearing what she said, those curious people could only go outside, leaving only their family members. Lu Jiyu pinched Wang Muxiao's acupuncture points. After a while, Wang Muxiao finally regained consciousness, but her face was still pale. Lu Jiyu poured her a glass of warm water and said while feeding her, "Second sister-in-law, hold on. The doctor is coming soon." Lu Cheng held his wife's hand and said, "Xirik Xiao, don't sleep. You will be fine, don't be afraid, I'm here." Hearing the familiar voice, Wang Muxiao nodded and forced herself to stay awake. Not long after, the doctor was dragged into the room by Li Chen's. Seeing the doctor, Lu Cheng moved aside and said, "Doctor, please save my wife." The doctor wiped off his sweat, sat on the edge of the kang, and felt Wang Muxiao's pulse. When checking the pulse, the doctor frowned deeply, which made everyone anxious. After a long time, the doctor finally finished checking the pulses and said, "There are signs of miscarriage, but the baby is fine." Hearing the doctor's words, both Lu Cheng and Wang Muxiao were stunned and stared at the doctor with wide eyes. "Bah, baby, doctor, you mean my wife is pregnant?" Lu Cheng asked with wide eyes. "Although the pulse is still weak, your wife's pulse is indeed slippery. I'll give you a prescription to strengthen the fetus. Don't get out of bed for 2 weeks and finish taking the medicine," the doctor said while writing the prescription. After she finishes taking the medicine, she should go to the hospital for another checkup, the doctor said while handing the prescription to Lu Cheng. Seeing Lu Cheng standing on the side in a daze, Li Chen said, "Thank you, doctor." After the doctor packed up the items, Li Chen sent the doctor away and paid the fee. When walking back, he saw Lu Han and Han Yuheng ride over together on a tractor. Before the tractor stops completely, Lu Han runs in without even saying hello to Li Chen's. Seeing his panicked expression, Li Chen's shook his head with envy. The relationship between the brothers and sisters of the Lu family is really good, different from him and his second brother. When Lu Han entered the room, he saw Lu Cheng sobbing. His heart sank, he thought something bad had happened. He walked up to his brother and said, "Lu Cheng, let's take your wife to the hospital first." "Brother, let's take my second sister-in-law back first. We have to wait for the baby to stabilize first before we can take my second sister-in-law to the hospital," Lu Jiyu said. "Huh, baby," Lu Han was taken aback. "Second sister-in-law is pregnant," Lu Jiyu nodded. Lu Han looked at Lu Cheng, who was crying so sadly as if his wife had passed away, and suddenly felt a little irritable. Unable to restrain himself, he hit Lu Cheng on the back of his head and said, "This brat, this is good news. Why are you crying like someone is dead?" Being hit without any rhyme or reason by his elder brother, Lu Cheng was startled and said, "I'm just relieved and happy. Is it a crime for a man to cry?" Before the two started quarreling, Chen Anwen came over with a thick quilt in her arms and said, "Today is Ju's big day. Let's bring sister-in-law back first." Under her reminder, they wrapped Wang Muxiao in a quilt, and Lu Cheng Princess carried her. They left with a tractor, and Chen Anwen stayed to help clean up the house. The sun had set by the time everything was cleaned up. Lu Jiu sent the women to the gate and said, "Everyone, thank you for today." Holding 2 bowls of meat dish and vegetable dish, everyone smiled and said, "Everyone is neighbors, you don't have to be so polite with us." "That's right, Juyu. After all, we all watched you grow up. Come to us if you need anything," a middle-aged woman said with a smile. "I will, Aunt Sue," Lu Jiu nodded with a smile. Chapter 70, Young and Vigorous. "It's getting late, let's go back, don't disturb the newlyweds." Liu Hua left after speaking, and the women also left while chatting happily. "Juyu's sister-in-law is going back first. If you need help, don't hesitate to come to us. Even if you are married, you are still the daughter of the Lu family." Chen Anwen patted Lu Juyu's hand and said, "I know, sister-in-law." "Go back in," Chen Anwen said with a smile before leaving. It was not until she could no longer see Chen Anwen that Lu Jiu locked the gate and returned to the house. When she went back, she looked at the round moon in the sky and chuckled lightly. She never expected that the only marriage in her 2 lifetimes would be full of surprises. When she entered the bridal chamber, she saw that Li Chenmo had finished washing and was waiting for her. Seeing her tired face, he held her hand and said, "Go wash up first." Lu Jiu was a little shy, nodded, and went to wash up. Today is her wedding day, and tonight is her wedding night. Although she likes Li Chenmo, she has known him for less than a month. Thinking that they might consummate their marriage, she felt anxious and shy, but also hopeful and joyful. She washed slowly because she wanted to calm herself down. When Lu Jiu finished washing up, her mood had calmed down a little, and there was only a slight blush on her face. Seeing her slowly walking towards him like a frightened and curious little rabbit, Li Chenmo found it amusing. He waited patiently for her to approach him. When Lu Jiu finally climbed to the Kang bed, Li Chenmo blew out the red candle, covered her with a quilt, and said in a low voice, "Go to sleep." Seeing him lying beside her with close eyes and going to sleep, Lu Jiu blinked her eyes in a daze. What happened? Did they just go to sleep and do nothing? When she was puzzled by Li Chenmo's sudden gentlemanly behavior, Li Chenmo clenched his fists as he controlled his emotions. Although he looked calm and indifferent on the surface, Li Chenmo's heart was very nervous and full of longing. He was a healthy young man, and his wife slept so close to him, so of course he had the desire for that. But today was very tiring for both of them, not to mention that his wife is still young and might be scared for the first time. He doesn't want to spend their first night hastily and leave a bad experience for Lu Jiu. Therefore, he can only control himself, let her adapt to their new relationship, and then proceed to the next step. After all, he has been waiting for her for more than a decade, and it doesn't make any difference if he waits a little longer. After thinking for a long time, Lu Jiu finally came to a conclusion. It's not that Li Chenmo didn't want to consummate their marriage, but he couldn't because he was still injured. Thinking of this, she immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Although she was a little disappointed, she was relieved as she really was not ready yet. After her heart calmed down, fatigue hit her and she felt drowsy. Lu Jiu used to sleep with something in her arms. In her previous life, she would hug her bear doll. Before marriage, she would hug the blanket. Now that there is a personal heater sleeping beside her, of course she will get closer and sleep while hugging him. After finding a comfortable position, she fell asleep in a daze, not noticing the sweet torture she caused her young and vigorous husband. Li Chenmo was hugged by Lu Jiu so suddenly, and he didn't dare to move. He thought she would take the initiative, so he waited with a racing heart. But after a while, nothing happened. Instead, there was a long and steady low breathing sound from his side. He turned his head and looked helplessly at Lu Jiu, who was sleeping soundly. In this cold winter, his body was hot and disturbed by the fire she lit, but she fell asleep peacefully by herself while leaving him hanging. He took his arm from her and hugged her instead. With his left arm around Lu Jiu's small shoulder and his right arm on her slender waist, Li Chenmo pulled her closer and covered their bodies with a quilt. He lowered his face, kissed her forehead tenderly, and said in a low voice full of doting, "Good night, wife." With his wife in his arms, he finally closed his eyes, smiled, and fell into a sweet dreamland. Early the next morning, Lu Jiu was awakened by the crowing of a rooster. When she opened her eyes, she saw a very handsome face only an inch away from her. Thinking of yesterday's wedding, she froze. Seeing that Li Chenmo was still sound asleep, she couldn't help stroking his face with her fingers. Her fingers slowly moved from his sword-like eyebrows to his tall nose bridge. There was a slight dark circle under his closed eye, and the eyelashes fluttered slightly like a frightened butterfly. She was jealous and wondered how a man could have such long eyelashes. The author is too biased. While she complained in her heart, her fingers didn't stop as she touched his thin lips. Unlike her lips, it feels a little cold. Lu Jiu touched his chin, feeling the new beard prick her fingertips. She chuckled and reached out to touch Li Chenmo's Adam's apple. When she was admiring his handsome face, Li Chenmo felt his blood rush to his lower abdomen. His back was covered with sweat, and his toes curled up due to nervousness and anticipation. He woke up before dawn and was happily looking at Lu Jiu's sleeping face when she woke up suddenly. Before he could think of anything, he closed his eyes and pretended to be asleep. At first he thought he could pretend to wake up when she got out of bed, but who knew that his wife not only didn't get up, but boldly started to touch his face and body. With her body sticking so close to him, and her warm fingers stroking his chin and throat, Li Chenmo's sanity collapsed. He opened his eyes suddenly, turned over in a swift movement, and trapped her under his fiery body. This sudden move made Lu Jiu startled and exclaimed, "Oh!" Lu Jiu was startled and her heart beat fast, as if a deer was running inside. She looked into Li Chenmo's dark eyes and saw the naked desire burning inside. She couldn't help but shudder. Seeing him lower his head, Lu Jiu felt her heart was about to explode. She closed her eyes, waiting expectantly for what will happen next. Li Chenmo only wanted to tease her, but when he saw her eyes closed and her cheeks flushed, his eyes darkened. He leaned close to her ear and asked in a low voice, "What is my wife doing early in the morning?" Hearing his deep and hoarse voice, Lu Jiu blushed and whispered, "No, nothing." "Really? Then why don't you dare to look at your husband?" he asked again with a hint of a smile. Lu Jiu wanted to refute his words, but she was too embarrassed due to being caught red-handed, so she chose to shut up. As long as she doesn't admit it, he doesn't have any evidence.